and welcome on this channel. I'm Katarina and today's video is about 3D printing and shooting a pinhole camera. I'm interested since some time into 3D printing a camera, and what I went now for is the pinhole camera. It's actually the easiest option, and actually there are some options out there, but the pinhole camera has the advantage that you don't need to buy some additional stuff like lenses, which could be expensive. So it's basically a light tight box with a really small aperture, which is called the pinhole, and it projects the image on the opposite side of the box where it could be captured on film. After some research online, I found these two cameras, which are called Scura, and they are designed by Dora Goodman. You could check out her website in the description below. They could be downloaded actually for free, the files for 3D printing. That's what I went for. I've printed both of them in matte black PLA at my Ender 3. But you also could buy a complete kit, including the 3D printed parts if you don't have a 3D printer, on the website. So it's quite a cool option, both of it. And yeah, I printed first this 35mm version, which shoots kind of a panoramic format. And afterwards I've also printed a bigger 6x6 version, which shoots, 6x6 roll film. Both of these cameras are completely manually operated. The shutter has some magnets inside, so it's quite easy to use. In the 35mm version, the frame counting system is completely manual. You have to turn the left knob for 2 times for the first 10 frames and for 1.5 times for the rest of the film. So it's completely up to you if you're messing it up or not. But it works quite well, also I had no issues with it. At the 120 film you have this small red window at the side here, which is quite convenient. There is an exposure table coming with the files for downloading, and that's actually what I've used all the time together with the timer on my phone, and it worked quite well. I was kind of afraid of having some underexposures, but actually it was everything quite well exposed. So no problems with that. And I got some Agfa APX 400 black and white films through the 35mm version of the camera. And yeah, results you could see here now. What was also surprising about the 35mm version and the black and white film was this kind of grain you see in the images. That's actually not film grain. I've developed at the same time a film from my Canon 50E, which turned out quite normal. That seems to be really the resolution of the pinhole. It's quite crazy and interesting, I think. The only problem was I realized with the black and white film is that shooting actually at a river is probably not a best option because of the long exposure times. which are depending on the sunlight between 1 and 15 seconds or something like that. And actually then the viewer is turning just into some flat grey surface. That's actually why I went for some Portra 160 for the second camera. That's what I've shot in the 6x6 camera. And I've used the exposure table according to the ISO 100 measurements. It turned out quite well, and yeah, you could enjoy my images. However, with the 6x6 version I really liked the crazier results the most. I don't know, I had some accidental double exposure where I just messed up to crank the film, and there's also an image which looks like a light leak. I don't know, it's just on one image, so can't really tell you why. But overall, I'm really pleased with the results of both of these cameras, and I found really less drawbacks. There are only two things actually. First is actually I don't have a viewfinder, and yeah, it always ends up into mounting this camera, of course, onto a tripod and then just eyeballing over it. And eyeballing also at the side that it's straight. That's quite annoying over time. Of course there's this small arrow kind thing here which makes it a bit easier, but you also could buy a viewfinder on the website. I don't know, it's about 30 bucks or something. But since I've built them myself by 3D printing them, I don't have it. Second drawback is actually, even though I cleaned both of these cameras as the print really well, I ended up with some artifacts in my frame. There's 35mm version which I built first. It wears really small artifacts at the side of the frame. So I cleaned the second 6x6 version even more, just for ending up with a bigger artifact in the frame. Of course, you could Photoshop these, that's actually what I did all the time here, but it's quite annoying. For the conclusion, to me the 35mm wins really relating to the panoramic format. It was actually the first time I shot some panoramic format, and what was quite nice. So that's why I like the 35mm version more. And it also made me think about shooting panoramic in the future and how I could turn another camera, probably with even a better image quality, into a panoramic camera. And yeah, I've already quite some ideas going on in my head, and probably my first own 3D printed camera will be some panoramic camera. But the project will definitely promote it with a video here on the channel, and that's also why you should hit the subscribe button to not miss out further projects of me, and see you next video.